Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to another episode of the South Carolina Gamecocks Dynasty here on EA Sports College Football 25, and we've reached the end of another season, which means it's time to get into another off-season, getting ready for year number 6 of this series. I'm excited to get into it. I'm very happy with the pace we've been going at and how far we're getting into this. It's been a lot of fun. I thank you guys for the support. If you're ready for this one to find out what happens with the Gamecocks this offseason, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty Mode content, because I can just go ahead and give you a little bit of a hint. It is a crazy offseason. We'll start off with our previous season. It wasn't very good. We ended up going 7-6, had high hopes, and, well, we kind of fell flat in our face in a lot of these games. And now we got to kind of hit the reset button because we're losing a lot of guys this year. And for the first time in the series, we lost in a bowl game. We ended up going 7-6 again, the fourth time we won 7 games in this series, and look to get back over that 7-game hump. Now, here's a look at our coaching stats. I haven't showed this so far, but we've been 37-27, but we're underneath 500 against top 25 teams and against our rivals. So it's something that needs to change, especially coming off a season that's been a little down for us. And we'll jump right into it. So let's get into the offseason now, starting off with those players who are leaving. And there's a lot of starters who are no longer going to be on this team anymore. Top guy, Bryce Reeves, the captain of the defense, is graduating, and he's projected to be a 6th-round pick. He was a great linebacker for us. He's going to be hard to replace. Also, right guard Tenard Smith, who started a lot of games this year. He graduates. Dante Reno graduates, so we need a new quarterback. I know his tenure was up and down, but he's been consistent at starting for the past 3 seasons. Who takes his place? Impact right tackle Josiah Thompson is also gone. Mazio Bennett, the star return man, also graduates. And we see Kelvin Hunter, reserve safety, graduating. Deshaun Heap, the JUCO guy from Benedict College right here in Columbia, he also graduates. John Roundtree at left guard. That's 3 offensive linemen, all graduating this year. Nate Lamb, who was kind of played all over the place on defense, he is also graduating. Jeff Rubin, another corner, going to be leaving. His 4 years are done from High Point, North Carolina. Had an up and down career, but again, consistency. Taylor Montez is gone. We don't have another punter on the roster, so we'll have to replace him. Starting tight end Jason Paquette as well. Another guy who's kind of had an up and down Gamecock tenure, but again, he's been a 4-year starter, so we'll have to replace that. Ogbong Bamiga, a reserve corner who, in my opinion, didn't get as much playing time as he probably should. He's also graduating. Quincy Cumberland as well, a transfer defensive end. Same thing with left tackle Sharif Miles. And then a couple of guys who also could get drafted. Jason Zandamela, the center we got from Florida a couple years ago. That's our 4th offensive lineman leaving. And then Derek Vincent Douglas, the Alabama transfer, goes a run stopper up the middle. So our lines take a hit. And then we also lose Mbena Nwuka, who set the record for most sacks in a Gamecock career. So a lot of guys to have to replace. Samuel Riddy as well from North Charleston. Davion Kershaw, the safety, as well as Quinton Ford. That's 4 corners also graduating. The secondary is going to have to be something we need to address. Kiki Adams as well, another safety goes. As all of our graduates. Here's a look at the draft picks. Also, you'll notice we didn't have anybody transfer out this year, but Vincent Douglas goes in the 3rd round, Zandamela in the 4th, and Reeves in the 5th. So let's jump now into the meat of the offseason. It's time for recruiting. And I'd say thus far we've done a pretty good job at recruiting. We've got quite a few guys, including 6 5-star guys. And you can see the list on your screen, all 6 on defense. We've gotten a lot of offensive line depth, specifically at the right guard position. A couple of corners as well. A couple of those 5 stars are corners, so that'll help. And right now we have the 3rd best class in the country, only behind Georgia and Oregon. So it's time to put some finishing touches on that. Here are the 6 guys we have currently who we've recruited thus far who have yet to commit, led by 4-star tight end Cribbs. And as we go to the transfer portal, this year, there's nobody really interested in transferring here. I'm a little shocked by that. We've had very much success in the transfer portal. This year, nobody wants to come here. So we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, recruiting freshmen this season. So let's fill up the board with the rest of the freshmen. Starting off, we got to get a punter. Andres B. He's a top punter. He wants to come here. Makes sense. Keenan Toti is a 3-star halfback who also has us number 1, so we're going to add him to the board. And a little bit down the line, Justin Doman, a kicker. Never helps to have special teams depth, so we add him as well. Coco Wilkerson's a 3-star wide receiver from Greenville who doesn't really have a lot of interest, so we'll throw him on the board. Also, Eric Gillikin, a defensive end from Greenville as well, a teammate of Wilkerson, but he has interest in Kentucky. Emmanuel Boyko's a JUCO from North Carolina, who I think could be a good tight end replacement. And then Khalil Bruner's a guy that I like a lot from Conway. He only has an offer from Army. Taking a look at linebacker, Isaac Stick from Georgia has not a lot of interest, so we'll throw him on. And we'll start to scout these guys as well. That sits us back to 35. Starting off with the punter, Andres B. He's not the best punter, but we really need a punter. So we're going to give him the scholarship. And when we give him the scholarship, he actually instantly commits. So that was easy. We got our punter next year. It's going to be Andres B. So at least there's one hurdle we already got over. Keenan Todia is a receiving halfback. He's not the fastest, but he's got some good catching ability. So we'll give him the scholarship. Plus, he wants to come here, and why turn him away when he's not half bad? Justice Doman's a kicker, and if you look, he's actually a gem. I wasn't going to offer him a scholarship, but since he's a gem, why not? So Justice Doman also gets the scholarship. Coco Wilson's a 6'5" physical receiver who can make the spec catch. Doesn't have the best route running. Won't create a ton of separation, but he could be a reliable target, so he will get the scholarship. Eric Gillikin's a nice run stopper from Greenville, South Carolina, who's got 80 blocks shed. It's going to be hard to get back into the battle with Kentucky, but we're going to try, so we'll send him the scholarship as well. Emmanuel Boyko, the JUCO sophomore, is a good vertical threat tight end. I like his skill set. Again, it's going to be a little tough to get into this battle, but we are going to try with that one as well. Khalid Bruner is a guy from Conway who has 83 strength, 76 power move, 77 tackle. He could be a good late in the cycle pickup, so we'll offer him the scholarship. And then Isaac Stick, last but not least, the right outside linebacker who is a gem, so we will give him the scholarship to round out, filling out our board here in the first week. Got a couple of other open spots. Frederick McClendon is a guy from the defensive end in Tennessee who we could potentially try to get back into the race for, as well as Mohammed Ha to fill out the 35, a safety from Georgia who hasn't got a scholarship yet. We'll throw them on the board. Starting off with McClendon, he is an okay player, more of a rusher, so not a favorite guy of mine. Mohammed Ha doesn't really have the most well-rounded skill set. He's very raw, but he's a gem, so that will always get you the scholarship here in the offseason. So here's a look at our board going into the end of week 1's recruiting. We're going to put Danny Cribbs at the top. He's last 4-star. Currently behind, but I think we can make that up. Garrison Wade, the kicker. He is well ahead of us. Miguel Rosa should also commit this week. Parker Augustine, another guy we already had on our board. A little behind Marshall, but I think we can make up that gap. Braden Goodman, he is leaning towards Western Kentucky, so we got to try to make up some ground there. Rashad Clapp, the right tackle, will probably commit to us soon. Isaac Sticks, the top new guy on our board, that gem. I want to try to get into that battle. Same with Khalid Bruner. I like him a lot. We could use some help on the defensive end and defensive line, considering all the talent we lost. So we'll put Bruner and Gillikin up high, try to get into those recruiting battles. Boyko is going to be a competitive one, but I do like the receiving skill set that he offers. And then Mohammed Ha, the gym safety. Nobody's offered to him a scholarship, so let's try to get ahead of the curve. The other guys are just going to get 5. I want to at least put points into them. Wilkerson, we're a little behind on. McClendon, that's going to be a hard one to get into. Todia as well. Hopefully we can take a gap with that scholarship. And then last thing with Doman, considering he is a gem, but I do have him at the bottom because we already have a kicker on our board. So we simulate the first week of recruiting, and we do get some commits, starting off with the 4-star Danny Cribbs. He will commit to the program, so he will be a good depth piece at tight end. That should see Otis McNitt start this year. Miguel Rosa is a good center, 3-star from Lancaster, Texas. He will also commit, but we do miss out on a couple of players. McClendon does lock us out a little bit too late for that battle. Here's a look at the other battles to see how they see after week 1. Wade gets even farther from us, and we take a huge lead on Parker Augustine, considering Marshall hasn't offered him a scholarship. Braden Goodman still behind Western Kentucky. We made up some ground. Rashawn Clapp, don't know why he hasn't committed yet, but he should commit sometime soon. Isaac Stick, offering the scholarship was a good idea. He only has one offer, and it's helping us out. Bruner, we jumped North Carolina, but we're still behind Army, so there's some work to do there. And same thing with Gillikin. Kentucky seems to be running away with him. As far as Emmanuel Boyko, we jump up to 4th. but still behind NC State, North Carolina, and Clemson. But only the Wolfpack have offered a scholarship. Mohammed Ha, we jump out in front, but now Army and Virginia have offered the scholarship to him. Coco Wilkerson now has us well out in front ahead of North Carolina. Keenan Todia, we make the gap even larger. And then Justice Doman, same thing. We jump North Carolina, considering the Tar Heels are slow on scholarships this year. Here's how we're going to offer our points into the second week. We're going to give everybody max points because we only have like 12 guys on our board. And I reshuffled them around based off highest to lowest point totals. So we simulate the second week and we get Parker Augustine, the right guard from Rock Hill, South Carolina. We get out ahead of Marshall and win that battle. We also get Rashad Clapp, who finally commits from Dangerfield, Texas, the right tackle. And then we also get Garrison Wade, the kicker from Chandler, Arizona. So now we have 2 kickers on the roster. We do miss out on Eric Gillikin. He does commit to Kentucky this week, and we do get locked out on Emmanuel Boyko just a little bit too late into that battle, and we just couldn't make up that ground. Here's a look at how we're going to go into week number 3. Isaac Stick and Bruner at the top, followed by Ha, all getting 75 points. Bruner, we made a lot of ground on, as we're still behind Army, but I think it's possible. We seem to get out in front of Ha, Wilkerson, but we also have a scholarship from Eastern Carolina there. Still trying to make up ground with Braden Goodman in Western Kentucky. Keenan Todia leading towards us, and then Doman heavily leading towards us. So we'll simulate the third week of recruiting, and we get some more commits. Isaac Stick from Dakota, Georgia, the gym linebacker, has committed to the program, as well as getting Coco Wilkerson, the wide receiver from Greenville, South Carolina. Now this week, here's a look at how we're going to go into the final week. Only 5 guys left on our board. Bruner, we have taken Army. We've surpassed them, so hopefully we can keep it that way. Ha is currently out in front. Goodman still behind Western Kentucky, so a big week this week for us. Todia out in front, and I expect Doman as well. So the only 2 that are really more of a challenge are Bruner and Goodman. And we start off the final week by getting Khalid Bruner. The 3-star defensive tackle does commit to us. As we take a look as well, Mohammed Ha from Georgia will commit to the program. We also get halfback Braden Goodman. So we do overtake Western Kentucky in the final week, and we get the halfback to add some depth. That's a big win for us. And then Justice Doman as well. We have 3 kickers now on roster. And here's a look at the final recruiting class. We got 32 commits this year, 6 5-stars, a handful of 4 stars and 3 stars. A good recruiting class for us, especially since this is a transition period, I would say, for the Gamecocks. A lot of our stars have now graduated. This is a good up-and-coming class to kind of build upon in the next couple of seasons as we look to retool this program and get to the top of the SEC. Also, we got Keenan Todia, the halfback. Not sure why he didn't show up. And we end the cycle with the number 1 recruiting class, beating Georgia out by 0.05 points. Yes, we have completed the best recruiting class in the country. I cannot believe we just accomplished that. That is a huge feather in our cap. Now we just got to capitalize on our prospects. Here's a look at the rest of the top 25. Georgia, Oregon, Miami, who's been good recruiters, Alabama, Notre Dame, Penn State, Tennessee, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Texas, USC, Oklahoma, NC State, Michigan, UCLA, Wisconsin, Arkansas, LSU, Iowa State, Florida, Washington, Clemson, Auburn, and SMU make up the top 25. Here are where the top recruits in the country went. The number 1 guy is an athlete. He went to Oregon, who also get the 4 and 5 best recruits, including the best quarterback. So I think the Ducks did pretty well, despite the fact they ended up 3rd in the cycle. They might have the most top in talent. And you can see all the 6 stars, or all 5 stars that we've got. We got 6 of them. There's a couple of other quarterbacks. One goes to Iowa State. One goes to Colorado. And then we see Ahmad Drake go to Texas, as there are 32 5-stars this season. As far as the top transfers go, the number 1 transfer was Talia Nix, who leaves USC and goes to Texas. Oklahoma also gets a center, and you can see the rest on your screen. There were no 5-star transfers in the portal this year. There was a little bit of a quieter transfer class. As here's a look at the top 20 in terms of where they went. Texas went pretty hard this year in the transfer portal, I would say. Brendan Ahmed goes to Jacksonville State. It's a big win for them. As far as the top quarterback, it was Max Barner, and he goes from LSU to Texas, so staying in the SEC. So that does it for the offseason part. Now we're going to get into custom conferences, and there was some movement this year. I've hinted at this that the Pac-12 will be making some expansions. They only have 7 teams, and Oregon State missed out on the playoff despite winning 1 game because they weren't labeled a conference. Now, I mentioned 2 teams that could be added to the conference. Well, the first is a team I didn't say. UNLV will get the nod to the Pac-12. They want to get that Las Vegas market and that Allegiant Stadium team. And the Rebels have put together a pretty good program in the Mountain West, so they joined the Pac-12. But the Pac-12 is not done. They want 9 teams instead of 8. They want 8 conference games for each of their teams. And they've been looking at the American. There's been rumors Memphis, UTSA, Tulane. They aren't going to join yet, but that still could be on the table as the Pac-12 looks to make moves. Instead, they're going to add Air Force. The Falcons come to the Pac-12. There were some rumors they'd join the AC, but they want to join the Pac-12 in order to keep that surefire rivalry with Army and Navy alive. So they joined the Pac-12, which gets them to 9 teams. Now, the Mountain West lost Air Force, and they now dropped to 7 teams, so they're going to add one of their own. They're going to poach away from the Sun Belt Conference, Texas State. So the Bobcats will join the Mountain West. They've been a pretty solid program, and they will join the Mountain West, which also means the Sun Belt will lose their division. So no team, no conference in college football has divisions anymore. So could be more moves on the horizon in the future, but that does it in this offseason. That's going to do it for this offseason. We now get to the preseason, and here's a look at our roster. We're going to need a new quarterback. Wade Mann, still the highest player on the team, and you can see the rating. We're an 88 overall, which is pretty good. It's lower than last year. 87 offense, 90 defense. There are some question marks, though, on this team. Can we replace 4 stars in the offensive line? Who's going to be the quarterback? In my opinion, the biggest question, how's the secondary going to hold up? We didn't get anybody new in the secondary in the transfer portal, and we lost our top 4 corners. And they weren't very good last year. Well, hopefully they can change that this year. But that's going to do it for the offseason. Next episode, we will have the preseason for year number 6 before jumping right in. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you drop that like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty Mode content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.